Hey guys, this video is for educational purposes only. Please do not break the law. Hello everybody. Today I am very excited. I have a very special guest, Mr. Austin Duer from Cannabis Company. Austin is here to kind of share his experience. Austin has been in the industry for a while, and I'm really excited to just pick his brain so he can help everybody learn about how to succeed in this very competitive industry. So Austin, I'll just start off with a quick question. Why don't you share a little bit about your story? How did you get into the cannabis? What's your origin story?
My origin, my father, he has been in the horticulture for roughly 20 years previous to this. So he was very familiar with growing and the plant life and the biology of that. Mom's side is a nurse, pharmaceutical. So I kind of see hand in hand both sides and kind of want to go towards the healthier option of cannabis.
Okay, got it. So your mom was kind of in the pharmaceutical space and you decided, with your dad's experience, which you probably learned from your dad growing up, that it's probably, there's obviously a lot of health benefits going with the more natural way with cannabis. So that's kind of what I guess intrigued your interest, and that's why you got into it.
Absolutely.
Cool. And how long have you been involved?
I've been operating for 5 years now in the Oklahoma market, been partaking for many years before then, learning as much as I can.
Cool. And so you've been involved for about 5 years. I guess, yeah, you probably got partakes for longer than that. Were you ever kind of underground growing, anything like that, kind of messing around with that stuff beforehand? Or was it just like, did you just kind of, as soon as it became legal, you started getting more involved in the business side of things?
No, absolutely. I did underground grow attempt. It was very much trial and error, learning how to grow. Didn't really have a whole lot of information, or didn't want to try and find that information before then. So just trial and error. Once it became fully legalized here, we definitely did a lot more trial and error.
And so back then, there probably wasn't a ton of information out there. It really was like you just have to test stuff and figure stuff out, right? Nowadays, there's so many books, YouTube videos, channels, all the stuff that can help you out with it. But back then, you must really had a passion for it to stick with it, to really just keep on going after it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a tricky plant. Kind of really got to know what it needs when there's not a whole lot of information online that you can just sit there and do a step by step. You really got to pay attention and learn the ropes of it.
And so why don't you tell me a little bit about the history of Cannabis Company? So we talked a little bit before this, and you told me that initially you guys were growing, but more recently you guys have moved more into just simply processing. So could you tell me about what it was like growing in Oklahoma? What type of strategies you guys use, and ultimately why did you guys make the decision to move to just processing?
Well, growing is a 24/7 job. There is no day offs with growing, which is a fun time as a young adult, but you really got to attend to those plants. And one miss watering, one spin of humidity, or something goes wrong, that creates a lot of issues. And so going with that, there's also over 7,500 growers here in Oklahoma at the beginning. And so you have a lot of competition with patients that don't really know what they want just yet. And so you have all these patients with all these really good growers. And the processing side, there was very far less processors than growers. And we always had byproduct from our grow. And so we were doing both. Once we realized that most of the patients want good, clean medicine for a very low price, it was just the smartest move on our part.
Hey guys, quick interruption here. I just want to let you know that every single product mentioned on this episode is available for sale at greenthumbdepot.com. We love hearing from growers just like you. So if you mention that you heard about us on this episode, we might even be able to throw in a bit of a discount. You can shoot me a personal email at james@greenthumbdepot.com or give us a call at 833-416-0375. We have the best prices on the internet and the best customer service. Not to mention, we offer free shipping across the continental U.S. with no sales tax outside of Nevada. All right, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, and I guess it makes sense. I'd probably imagine that a lot of people who are taking it for medicinal purposes maybe aren't so interested in smoking it anyways. And so they're probably more interested in just, let me get a tasty brownie or something, or, some sort of cream, just something easy to apply, easy to ingest. And so I can imagine that as someone who's really deep in it, just talking with your customers all the time, talking with your patients all the time, that's probably where you saw, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a time and place for smoking cannabis, but not a lot of people in the early beginnings wanted to have that smell or that stigma attached to it, and they wanted something they really didn't know that they were partaking in. And so that made it a lot easier with having a vaporizer or having an edible or a tincture or just all the different types of methods that you can go about that.
Got it. And so nowadays, just for those that are maybe not super familiar, so are you purchasing plant from other growers and then you're now processing them using, we'll get into the exact methods, but is that kind of the main business model?
We have a really good network of growers here, people that we've worked with for a long time. So we have those really good relationships, and we know their grow, how clean it is, and the medicine that they're producing is something that we want in our facility.
Awesome. So you already have some really good connections. After your time working in Oklahoma for so long, I would imagine you have some, pretty strong connections. So the question I really am curious about, because we work with a lot of processors and growers alike, is what is your process for processing? I mean, what do you prefer to use? Are you guys using rosin presses or some other form?
I mean, there's definitely a favorite, which would be the rosin presses and the best of the best. But in this market right here, we have to really talk to our patients and see what they really need. And right now, they really need affordable medicine that they can constantly be able to purchase. So that would be CO2 distillate. Distillate is definitely our biggest thing that we work with, just because it's so versatile. You can do so many things with it. You can add the terpenes that we extract from the plant. We can add that back in and make it a full spectrum.
Cool. And could you tell me a little bit more about that CO2 distillate? What's that process like? I mean, you get the plant and then what do you do with it? Are you like, just for people that aren't exactly familiar with how that works, what is that process like? Because with the rosin press, it's pretty simple. You put the thing in there, you press it down. But with the CO2 distillation, like how does that work?
There's quite a lot to it. It's definitely a science. Several machines. You insert the material into a machine. Pretty much it extracts from there, produces a crude oil, and then you make that crude oil into a distillate form. Several machines, yeah.
What do you think is the learning curve for that? I mean, what you're saying sounds super complicated, but when you're actually in there doing the work, how hard do you think it is to actually really get it down?
Trial and error. That's all I can say. Trial and error is the best thing you can do, because you can read a book and yes, you can probably get close to the right method, but trial and error is the best way to really learn it, and over the years you really fine tune it and you get a product that you're happy with.
So I think it's a good thing to really shout out that if you're new to this, you're probably not going to have an amazing success right off the bat, but obviously just don't give up, keep learning. And if someone's starting off, let's say with rosin presses or CO2 distillation, is there any kind of like a beginner product line or brand that you could shout out that you think would be good for them to look into?
There's several really good brands here in Oklahoma or in general, because right now you have the leading nation. I mean, California's been in it for a while. Colorado's been in it for a while. There's some really good companies there that are very online and definitely explain a lot of information online that they just want to help build the community. That's really what it's all about, is teamwork. We're all in this for one goal, and is to produce the best medicine. That's how you keep going each day, is just making good connections and building a team and striving for greatness.
So if someone wants to get into processing and they just gotten their processing license in Oklahoma, obviously I would assume they've probably done their research up to this point, but if someone's looking around about it, what type of investment and what type of equipment are they going to need to purchase, to get started with this?
I mean, you have smaller machines that you can produce so much. I mean, it's really a stepping stone. I would definitely start off with something small, but definitely find someone that's already doing it. See, I mean, there's so many people in this industry that would love to mentor. Everyone would love to mentor. I mean, it's an industry that we love helping each other out. And so definitely find someone that's already doing it and ask questions and go as far as you can with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say one thing about the industry. Since I've just talked to a lot of people, I've interviewed quite a few people now at this point. And the one thing that is really cool is that I think a lot of people are just like you, Austin, where everybody just wants to help. It's not a particularly greedy industry. Everyone, it is competitive. There's no doubt about that. But it's not, everybody wants to get in and just help each other out. So I would definitely suggest to anybody out there, just if you have questions, there's so many YouTube videos out there. Hit people up, ask around. People are pretty willing to share their information.
And there's also several different ways to produce a product. There's several different strains. So you really can go in your own way and really go full into that way, because not everyone's going to do it the same. And there's so many different ways to do something. Find your way and find what works best for you and run with it.
Good stuff, Austin. That's really some really good information. So I guess I like to just kind of finish off with a couple just questions about the industry, I guess, and your thoughts on it. How do you see the industry evolving over the next couple years? We've got potential federal legalization on the docket coming up here soon. We've got a rescheduling. I believe that's going to help with taxes. So, what do you think about the industry going forward? Obviously, you're super passionate about it. Would you recommend people get involved, or do you think it's just too competitive at this point?
It's a hard question. It really is. It's definitely competitive, but I mean, with any business, if you are striving for greatness and you have a passion for it, and you stick to it and keep on going, I mean, there's room for it. And my goal is to learn more about it, because we don't know a lot about cannabis, the actual science of it, because it's not federally legal. We can't do the actual research in the scientific labs like we would like to, like all these other forms of medication and stuff like that. So my hope is that we are able to dial in certain strains, and the end goal would be to have strains that would treat certain problems just like pharmaceuticals, but a much more natural option that comes from the earth.
Fascinating. And that just piques my interest a little bit. I mean, how effective and different do you think these strains are for helping different things that pop up? Can they really be that effective depending on the strain?
I mean, just speaking with the patients here in Oklahoma, I mean, everyone grows a strain differently. And so that's the key thing to it, is everyone has their own methods of growing. And that truly affects the terpene profile, the effectiveness of that plant. And so to have a strain that is dialed into this one certain problem that it will solve would be ideal. But again, terpenes affect every person differently. You could be ingesting it with someone else and it totally affect them totally differently, just because of your endocannabinoid system and the terpene profile that affects them completely different.
Definitely. And I know for me, for example, I've definitely tried some different strains that did not particularly agree with me, while they agreed very well with my friends. So I can definitely attest to that. Well, Austin, I really appreciate it. I learned a ton here. And where can people find you, if they wanted to follow you and learn more about your company and follow your journey?
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, kind of shadow banned on Instagram. They don't like us too much on posting about the plant, but we are on Heal THC _ cannabis. Is our tag or our name. You can find us there. And then we're also in quite a few dispensaries here in Oklahoma.
All right, guys. Well, if you're in Oklahoma, definitely look out for that. And I'm going to include all of that up here. So follow him on all of his socials. And thank you so much, Austin. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.